Hello, I'm Stuart. I'm a paramedic and a public education officer with Alberta Health Services Emergency Medical Services here in the Calgary Zone. And today I'm going to show you all about my ambulance. The first thing I want to point out is an ambulance actually has two sirens. We'll listen to them later on, but I want to point out that the sirens are located in the grille at the front of the ambulance. This is so as the ambulance is driving through traffic, the cars that are ahead of the ambulance can actually hear it. More about that later. I'll show you the outside of the truck if you come along this way with me. Ambulances carry a lot of equipment. Some of it is carried in exterior cabinets, the rest is in the back. I'll show you the cabinets quickly, but this one contains various things such as our oxygen tanks and certain equipment that helps lift patients to get into the ambulance. This is one of our side door accesses for the truck if you're actually going to be a patient in the back. We'll have a look through this door in a little while. Everything has a yellow safety handle to help people to get in and out. This back cabinet is one of the most important because it contains most of the equipment we will ever carry in to a patient. We have spine boards here, our kits that contain medicines and other things that help patients, and this cabinet can actually be accessed from the inside as well as the outside. These are the main doors that we load patients in and out of, which I'll open now and show you more about the inside in a moment. But we do have to have two doors to allow access for the patient at the stretcher. Along this side of the ambulance, we have other equipment. Remember, an ambulance is a regular truck. If we ever have a concern and we need to use a spare tire or any tools or equipment, we need to have that ready at hand in case we need access to keep the ambulance on the road. Our other cabinet contains further equipment that helps with doing lifts and carries. This is actually a special kind of chair stretcher that unfolds and we can help push a person like a wheelchair, as well as other incidental tools that are more about the ambulance than they are about patient care. And finally, many patients need extra oxygen when they're aboard the ambulance. And in this case, this is where we keep what's known as our main O2, a large tank of compressed oxygen that might help someone feel better if they need help with their breathing. Now that you've seen the outside of the ambulance, come along with me as we look on the inside. The first thing you'll notice is when we open this side door, we get some extra light for safety. This helps us when we're working at night and makes it easier to get into the side of the ambulance. Come along with me this way. From inside, we have a lot to show you. The number one thing is, and I'm going to sit in what's called the Airway Chair. If we ever need to move a small patient, maybe you have younger brothers and sisters, or maybe this is you, we can use this special car seat that's a 5-point harness. This might look familiar to your own car seat at home. This chair can also face backward or all the way forward, depending on how old you are. When we're not using it as that, this is where someone who might help a patient who needs to breathe will sit. In these cupboards, we have things that help with your airway, that's your nose and mouth, all the way to your lungs. We have little suction devices, which you might be familiar with at the dentist if you need to use suction in your mouth. We have sanitizer. These are the lights that make things go much darker and much brighter because we need to be able to see very well at night. Our heart monitor, which I'll show you in a minute, requires battery power and lots of it, so we always keep 2 batteries in our charger ready to go at all times. The seat I'm in now is usually known as the attendant's chair. This is the seat that the paramedic who is actually helping the patient will sit in. At all times, if the ambulance is in motion, we will put our seat belts on. However, this seat is highly maneuverable and I can move it up and down as required in order to reach different equipment, or I can move it forward and back to meet the patient. This is our heart monitor that uses the batteries I talked about, and it sits in this special cradle that can't come out when the ambulance is in motion. From here, we can use the monitor to attach to our patient to see how their heart is beating. We also have access to other drawers and equipment right here, such that the person who is helping the patient never has to get out of their seat. Earlier I mentioned paramedics carry a lot of equipment to help people. This is the cupboard that also opens from the outside. from the inside, we can access it by opening here without getting out of our seat, or if we need to, we can open it from these cupboards here to pull out equipment. This is our last interior cupboard. Down here is where we generally keep the linens and clean sheets for our stretcher. We carry kits that help if a mom is going to have a baby in our ambulance, which does happen, and various other equipment to help patients who may have a cut or an injury. Now I'm going to show you my power load stretcher. There's a reason it's called power load, because it does all the lifting for us. Follow this as I take it out. When I wake it up, I get a nice green light, and this way I can pull the stretcher all the way out like this. However, now we're just floating in the air. What am I going to do? Put the landing gear down. As I press the button, the wheels will lower to the ground, and now the power code is ready to go. Once I would like to remove it, when I unhook it from this, I can move it to where the patient needs to be loaded on. Now, once we're ready to reload the patient, I need to bring the stretcher back to the horns where it will lock back in. Click into place. I need to raise the landing gear, the nickname for the wheels. And before I put it back in, I'll just show you how much weight can the stretcher take? This much. It can float in the air with a patient on it, which is a little unnerving, which is why we never let go of the stretcher. However, then we can just push the stretcher back into place. It will lower down into its resting spot, and then is immovable and locked safely in place as we transport to hospital. Now that you've seen how the stretcher works, come around the front and I'll show you where the driver sits. The front is essentially like any other truck with a few extra buttons. Like everybody else, the first thing we will need to do is put our seatbelt on, engage the power, and if we need to turn on the lights, we have a choice of all of them or most of them.
Hi Huxley, what's your question?
How do they turn on sirens?
Sirens?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll ask that. Thank you.
But as well, the console to operate the siren is also within the driver's reach. It's the responsibility of the driver to operate their siren, choose which sound you would like, and when he or she would like it to be on or off. We have another series of buttons here as well that allows the lights on the ambulance that light up the scenes for like a dark area to be turned on, as well as the ability to actually take the keys out of the ambulance, lock the ambulance, but leave it running in case it's very, very cold out in the winter. It's very important that an ambulance as an emergency vehicle can be seen at all times. That includes day or night and in all manners of weather. If we want to be seen really well, we'll turn on all of the lights. Notice they light up in the grill and the mirror as well.
This is Calder, and Calder is 5 years old, and his question is for the ambulance drivers.
How does ambulance go?
An ambulance is an emergency vehicle. That means we are allowed to break certain rules of the road only when it is safe to do so. That includes perhaps going a little faster than the posted speed limit. We can, when it is safe and we make sure there's no other traffic, move through a red light or perhaps go the wrong direction down a road. But again, only when it is safe to do so, and all of our lights and our siren are activated. It is more important that we get to where we are going safely than quickly.
Hi Hudson, do you have a question?
Yes. They can help police.
How do they help the police?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question.
From time to time, paramedics need the help of other emergency responders. Most commonly, that's the fire department or a police officer. The fire department are very good at helping us with patients who may be sick or injured. They may be able to help us with lifting a patient or heavy equipment when it is unsafe for just a paramedic crew to do that. We also help the police, and they help us by keeping us safe. From time to time, there are patients who may be a danger to themselves because they might hurt themselves by accident, or they might hurt somebody else when they don't mean to, and the paramedics are able to help the police with those situations. When not on a call, paramedics may not have a lot of time, but they have the opportunity to catch up on some work emails, other correspondence, phone calls, have a snack or a light meal. But when a paramedic is at work and it's for a 12-hour shift, generally we have to be able to respond at all times. It is sometimes difficult to find time to have a break at work, but when we do have that opportunity, we are glad to take it.